Hey guys, welcome back to the What About AI podcast. I'm Sean Boyce,
Hey guys, I'm James Perkins.
and the topic that we got for you for this episode is the AI arms race. That is how hiring works now, where both companies and applicants are leveraging AI extensively in the process so that a lot of things are being done, but not a lot of human interaction is taking place. I've got a couple of stats here I'll throw out and then we'll discuss, but according to the research that we've done so far, upwards of half of job applications these days is actually via a bot, which is kind of a crazy number given how many people are applying for stuff. And then a projection by the end of this year, greater than 80% of companies are expected to be leveraging AI in their hiring process, which also seems high. So I don't know, have you heard about this? What's your take so far?
I have, and I saw it firsthand. So my previous employer, I was a hiring manager. I dealt with this. You'd post a job for a project manager or program manager, and you'd get 10,000 resumes.
Super manageable number.
Yeah, and the thing is, there's recruiting leaders that are involved. There's folks doing outreach on campuses, and then you have all the things that just come in from the web applications. So Indeed.com, all the external sources for a corporation
Yep.
receive resumes. And the sorting that happens isn't that high fidelity. So the hiring manager themselves ends up with a ton of resumes, doesn't really know what to do, or doesn't have the time even to look through all of them. And they kind of punt that work to the recruiter who doesn't know that much about the job. And it ends up truly being AI versus AI. So if you have folks submitting their resume to 10,000 job openings and you have AI intake examining it for keywords, the ones that actually make it through the filter aren't necessarily the best ones. They're the ones with the highest rate of keywords that match.
I remember that from back in the day. That was probably earlier on when they started leveraging tech for this way. They used to
Yep.
call it like keyword stuffing, basically, where you would enter whatever relevant keywords you might find on a job post or something, and you'd have it on your resume and like basically hidden text. So it would match the
Yeah.
actual color of your resume. Anyway, all of this stuff to say that like I think one of the overall themes here, based on the data that I'm looking at and how frustrated both applicants and companies seem to be with everyone leveraging the technology in this way is that basically hiring seems to kind of be broken. The AI, a lot of the themes here in the research that we've done is basically that a lot of people are using it on both sides, but neither party is really getting what they want. I think that probably speaks to they're trying to maximize the efficiency of a broken process.
I would completely agree. And a fair number of our recent clients have been laid off recently themselves and are looking to find a new employer. And their initial reaction to using AI was, okay, well, if I just set up an agent to apply to all these jobs, I'll have a higher chance. That's not necessarily true.
Yeah.
I think, the advice we're giving right now is look at your community, the folks in your network that you know, see if they have any openings in their place of business that might be relevant to you, and kind of work through that network. The human angle right now, even in this age of AI, will take you a little bit further and use AI to your advantage. So if you want to learn how to use AI to help increase your chances, don't just start building a bot to send mass applications. It's not going to help you. Figure out how to use the bot to improve your resume for each specific role and how to better reach out to, like cold outreach to folks in the network of folks that you know.
I think that's great advice and a better way probably to leverage this technology. And don't get us wrong, like we sympathize with you, especially with companies leveraging AI extensively here on their end, trying to like filter through resumes and trying to do the piece that probably a human should be doing so that it can be done better. But some of the statistics that we see here is that job applicants last year skyrocketed. And I'm sure, unfortunately, that's probably at least a byproduct of a lot of layoffs that have been happening. So people are looking for work, but I think others are also trying to do what you said is kind of a developing pattern that almost like spray and pray. If I just like play the volume game, maybe I'll hit something and get lucky. I don't know, at least in the data, it seems to be that like that is not showing up in the data in terms of the best use of your time. I do like the leverage kind of the warm angle, and what I've heard that has worked in the research I've done as well too on Reddit and other places that people have had some success with is basically like if you were looking at a job that may be available that you think you could be a good fit for, assuming that's real, and there's more data in here to speak to that problem, but assuming that's real, if you find your way to basically the hiring manager online or otherwise, try to reach out to them via email or LinkedIn or something like that. And if you start getting information or exchanges back, you start to build up that rapport with them. maybe they might even get a chance to know you a little bit personally, which I think is a huge advantage when it comes to the actual hiring process. And then with a strategy like that, you may be able to stand out in a good way.
Yeah, and that you can enable or augment with AI. So it's who you know in your network and maybe one or two layers beyond that, right? Who you know that knows somebody, and then doing outreach that's intelligent with AI that's personalized to those individuals. I've received as a hiring manager so many messages on LinkedIn that I knew were generated by AI. And you can just tell it's like, hey, James, you have to make it somewhat personalized to the
Yeah,
person you're reaching out to, and you have to mention the connection that you have or share together. And you can train AI to do that. That will give you an edge. There's a lot of little things that we're teaching folks right now that were laid off that need help, that are helping them get jobs. And I would say so far, not even I would say, it's the numbers. Out of all of our clients, about 80% that were laid off recently have been redeployed or employed again in a field that they want to work in a job they were looking for. So our tactics are working. So if you're listening, try some of this. It will help you.
definitely. Yeah, I think that's great advice. We've seen good results, and I know it can feel hopeless. Been there myself, numerous times. We've been in tech our entire career, so we've reinvented ourselves so many times at this point. I don't even know what I'd necessarily call myself at this point. A lot of that kind of stuff. So, but the other things in here as well also is some statistics for you to know, and some of the other kind of cautions about leveraging the AI tools in this way, like that spray and pray approach. I get the idea, but probably leveraging it the right way, like James is indicating, is going to be to your advantage because what they're saying from hiring managers right now and recruiters and things like that is that they can easily spot AI generated
Oh
resumes,
yeah.
and they're certainly deprioritizing those as well too. They say hiring managers say that 1 out of 3 can spot basically like an AI generated resume in less than 30 seconds. So that's fairly decent level of confidence for them to kind of remove something that may have been low effort on your part, like it could have been efficient, but the level of effectiveness is probably not there either. So I think probably spending some time and investing in some of these other ways makes more sense as well too. Now the hypocrisy is there as well because they're leveraging AI on their end, but I think you can get around some of that stuff for now until the hiring process ultimately gets fixed. And that I think would be a good takeaway on the company's side here. But until that happens, what's probably in your best interest to try to work your way into those connections and jobs in a different way.
Yeah. And we're not saying don't use the tools. We're just saying use them in the right way. Do the research to figure out what works, or talk to us, which is also an option.
Well said, especially the free stuff. Our
Yeah. Use the
newsletter,
resources.
yeah, our newsletter is a good place to refer to. We'll link to that in the notes and everything. But that's where we aggregate basically everything that we're doing and all this research that we're sharing with you. So that comes with a lot of these tips and tricks in terms of figuring your way out and getting back into the workforce or upskilling or whatever it is you want to do in order to empower you in the next step in your career.
One of our clients recently sent me a note and said, hey, I see you keep responding to all these messages on socials, giving all these tips. Like, I'm paying for this. What am I going to get different? I'm like, you're getting the same thing, but you're getting more of it, dedicated focus. So we're
Personalized.
not we're not gatekeeping this behind a payment. I mean, we want to make some money to live, but the advice I'm giving our clients is the same advice we're giving in these podcasts and online and commenting on socials. So reach out if you have a question. I mean, we're going to answer it.
Definitely. Yeah, well said. Also, what we found in here as well too is some of the old school stuff, like we were talking about, is starting to have more of an effect as well too, and coming back, like in-person interviews, as old as that seems at this point. Similar to kind of like back in the day when you'd use, physical resumes and you'd put one on like thicker piece of paper or different colors and stuff, like different ways to stand out. You know what I mean? Like be creative with that. And if you can get to develop those kind of personalized relationships and then leverage warm introductions or referrals, that stuff's typically quite a bit more effective.
Yeah, agreed.
Cool. All right. So we went through a ton of statistics on this one. It's a battle out there. Keep your head up and leverage the technology, like James is saying, for ways that help you put your best foot forward, I think. But be careful or wary of anything that might jeopardize kind of the quality of the output and the process that you're following to ultimately do what it is that you want in terms of finding a new job or applying for something. Anything else you want to share before we wrap up this episode?
I would say we're we're experts in this area. We're following this closely. It's changing so rapidly. Every day we're spending hours, just the two of us, catching up on what changed that day. And we're tracking every major, Anthropic, OpenAI, Google Gemini. We're watching all of it, but it's changing so fast. It's hard to keep up for us, and this is our life. So if you're having a hard time keeping up, keep tuning in. We're going to share more and more details every podcast, every newsletter, to make sure that you're best informed and able to either retain work or find work if you were recently laid off.
Sounds good. Yeah. Thanks for tuning in, guys. Appreciate it.
Thanks, guys.